Facebook changed its name to Meta, and it's focusing heavily on what's called the Metaverse. We're going to dive into all of this here shortly, but I want to let you guys know that I sold out of 2 companies and put those proceeds all into Facebook. I decided to buy into Facebook, and I'm going to go over the reasons why. So, what companies did I sell out of? One is Altria. Now, Altria is a cigarette company, and this is a company, as well as the other one, that I got into for the wrong reasons. But with Altria, if you look at their 5-year chart, you see just a decline, right? And the other company I sold out of is IBM. Similar situation, this is an IT company, and it's been in decline for the last 5 years. I bought these 2 companies due to their high dividend. Altria right now pays about a 7.8% dividend, and IBM about a 5.24% dividend yield. And so with Altria, that's $3.44 per share, and with IBM, that's $6.56 per share. There's something called the dividend yield trap. When I first started investing, that is the only thing I focused on when I got into these companies, was that big dividend yield. I didn't do my research on these companies. I didn't research if these were quality companies, what the future outlook was. I was blind to this, so I've been waiting for a point to sell out of these, and I finally did it. And what's interesting is I sold out of Altria, and the very next day it fell $4.23 after its earnings were a miss. IBM I sold, and the next day went down about $2.41. And so what I did is I took those losses that I would have made if I sold out a day later. I put back in a whole year of earned dividends for each company, and then I factored in what I bought Facebook at and the gain I'm at so far. And it turns out my decision has been good so far. I have made $5.74 by selling out of those companies and buying into Facebook. And that is including a whole year of dividends for Altria and IBM. If I take those out, the gains would be even more. And I think I'm going to be very happy with the gains that I will be making in Facebook versus the declining businesses of those other 2 companies. Now, Altria is a cigarette company, and that company to me is just forecasted to lose more and more customers. Cigarettes usage is in decline, and I think it will continue to decline from here on out. Where IBM has had decades to make a turnaround and they haven't done it. Promises keep coming around and they don't deliver. And so I'm not willing to wait maybe another 10 years till maybe they possibly do turn it around, and I lose out on 10 years of another company gaining. So I got out of these companies because I got into them for the wrong reasons, and I don't think their future is bright in either company. I bought into Facebook, or shall we call it Meta now. So why did I buy into Facebook? First of all, their financials are spectacular. Their assets, they have a ton of assets compared to liabilities. Year over year, their income is growing significantly. And this company is just positioned to do something like take a chance on something different like they are now with the Metaverse. Number 2 reason I bought in was they have a large moat. This Facebook owns, or Meta, I'll use them interchangeably until I get used to it, but Facebook owns 91 companies. More of the popular ones, of course, are Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger. And so they're the world's largest social media platform, which to me just equals opportunity, right? You have all these people within your reach that you can use to grow your business, and I just see that as opportunity. Number 3 is, I'm a little off there. Number 3, I actually like that they changed their name from Facebook to Meta. Facebook recently has gotten a lot of negative ness from different areas, but I think by changing their name to Meta, that's going to help. That's also, when you think of Facebook, you think of just the Facebook app. So now Meta is going to be the umbrella for everything they do, which I like. So it's going to expand people in knowing and thinking that this company is more than just the Facebook app. Number 4, this is a beaten down stock. I think it's down in the last couple months like 15 to 20%, which is huge for a company this size with this healthy of financials. And of course, with politics and the media, they've been just hounding Facebook for a lot of different reasons. So Facebook's forward PE sits about at 22.6, where somewhere like Microsoft is about 36. I think they're even higher now. Apple's about 29, 30. So Facebook, to me, is at a buy-in opportunity. I think they're undervalued. There's a lot of other sites that say they're undervalued as well, where they can go up to between $400 and $500 a share. They're at about $325 right now. So it's a beaten down stock, a good opportunity to buy in. Number 5, and the final reason why I bought into Facebook is the metaverse. Yes, I know it's going to take a lot of time for people to wrap their minds around this and look into it and see if this is good for Facebook or not. I think it's a good thing. I think it is the future. And I think this company is the one to take a chance on that because they have such good financial health that they can allocate the mass amount of money that they are. You know, what is the metaverse? Well, to put it in a very simplified version, it's basically living in a virtual world. It's living a virtual life. It's where you can meet up with friends from another country, let's say, or maybe someone's in the hospital and they can't meet people because they're too sick to. You can do this in the metaverse. If with the pandemic, who knows what that's going to take root, but a lot of people are working from home. This could allow people in the future to virtually go to work and see other people virtually and sit at a table with somebody. It could allow you to throw a surprise birthday party with family members that live outside your city. So it can bring people together virtually. So Facebook is investing billions of dollars into this annually, about 10 billion at least annually. And so to give you a better perspective on what this is, let's look at what Mark Zuckerberg said himself about the metaverse when he introduced it.
People. Soon, we're going to be introducing a social version of home, where you can invite your friends to join you as avatars. You'll be able to hang out, watch videos together, and jump into apps together. Then, there is Horizon Worlds, which is where you can build worlds and jump into them with people. Horizon is designed to make it possible for everyone to create, and we're already seeing people build some really interesting experiences, from creating new games together to throwing surprise parties in VR that family and friends around the world can join. Over the last year and a half, a lot of us who work in offices have gone remote, and while I miss seeing the people I work with, I think remote work is here to stay for a lot of people. So we're going to need better tools to work together. Let's take a look at what working in the metaverse will be like. Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of presence, shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants. And as we've focused more on work, and frankly, as we've heard your feedback more broadly, we're working on making it so you can log into Quest with an account other than your personal Facebook account. We're starting to test support for work accounts soon, and we're working on making a broader shift here within the next year.
All right, so there you see kind of what it is. It's kind of like I said, it's a virtual life that people will live. And so going through not only the comments on that video, but on a bunch of other platforms, there's a lot of negative comments, but that was expected. I think anything new that comes, any kind of change, people resist just naturally. So the main things that people were commenting on is this is going to be bad for privacy, which I can see, right? If you're living the virtual world in your house, could people map out your house? I don't know. There's people are saying it's going to take humans further apart, and then just general, it's scary. People are thinking this is a scary thing. So I want to dive into pros and cons. Let's start with the cons and then go into the pros. So one of the cons I could see is this is something that could take decades until it starts really returning some revenue, is adopted by the masses. So this can take a long time. It's not something that's going to be, implemented in a few years and everyone's wearing these goggles where you're living in a virtual life. It's going to take a long time. So either, you're going to have to be very patient or, just not pay attention to it and invest in something else that you think is better. Another con is security. I think with everything going on right now, this has to be a top priority. Um, because if not, it's going to be highly scrutinized and it's going to really prolong things a lot more than I think, should be necessarily prolonged. So they have to be careful not to have some huge event where security, was breached and puts people at risk. Another reason could be that this could flop. I think this is the future, but doesn't mean that Facebook is a company that's going to take it there, right? Facebook, if you follow Facebook, their younger users, the younger active users has been in decline across many of their apps. And that is the generation that is going to take over this, right? So is this something where Facebook is the company to flagship this, or does another company come along and take over and be the flagship company for the metaverse? We don't know. So there's that possibility that it could not be as big as Facebook is hoping that it could be. And then another con is competition. There's a lot of other big tech companies out there with a lot of money too on their balance sheets that could dive into this and give Facebook a lot of headaches. And so that's another con. So now let's move to the pros that I thought up of. Number one is this, to me, a lot of people are afraid that this is going to bring people apart. I think it's going to bring people together in a different way that people aren't thinking, right? As mentioned before, if you have family that lives in another country, another city, this could bring you guys together, allow you to interact and communicate, and I think that's a good thing. If you work from home, I think companies struggle with that networking and communication. This could be a big help for that. So I think it can bring people together in a positive way. Another pro is this is the future whether we like it or not. And so you can either choose to invest in it now or invest in it later, is my opinion. Another pro is our society has become more and more dependent on technology, and I don't think that's going to change. I think we're going to continue to grow more and more dependent on technology. And so I don't see a decline in it, and that's why I'm not too worried about this metaverse thing not being successful. I think it is the path that we're moving. Another pro is gaming is super popular right now. Companies like Microsoft are investing heavily into gaming, as is other companies. And I think the metaverse is going to allow this to expand. And instead of sitting there playing your games at a TV, this can allow you to be mobile and play games, right? It's just taking it to a whole nother level, I feel. Another pro is Facebook is very financially stable. They have a lot of cash. They can afford to do this, okay? If worst case scenario, this completely flops, this company's still going to grow. This company's still going to be profitable. It's just going to be that, hey, all this money could have gone somewhere else and probably could have made this company that much more valuable and of a growth company. And so, though it's a lot of money, it's not going to kill Facebook if it doesn't work out. And then the last pro that I could see is now another issue people brought up was that Mark Zuckerberg is just doing this to get back at Apple, right? Because Apple's got this control that no other company has, and he's trying to figure out something to get over that and then, have control over Apple in an aspect. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that, this was just announced and thought of in the last couple months. I thought, I'm sure this took years and years of, meetings, testing, forecasting, analytics. I mean, there's probably a whole lot that went into this. And so I don't think Mark Zuckerberg's sole purpose is to get back at Apple. I think there is a future for this, and I think they see that, they know that, and they're investing in it. Now, of course, competition is part of it, right? So even though that can be a con, it's also a pro, right? It pushes companies to do better, to innovate, and to grow. And so that's what I like about the competition side of things, is I think with competition, it forces companies to change and evolve and grow. And so I think that's a good thing that this is bringing about between all these companies. And it's going to just perfect a product for us users eventually down the road. So before I conclude, another point I want to bring up is though this isn't exactly the same, but when electric vehicles were starting to get introduced, man, did that have a lot of backlash. People said that would never be a thing. And look at where we are now. Every major car company is committed to being 100% electric by 2030 or 2035. It's going to be what we're all going to be driving in the future. And so when something new comes along, it usually heavily gets criticized. But you got to look beyond that. You got to be able to take your emotions out of it and look beyond that. And with the metaverse, I see a future, and I see something that is going to be the future. And so I am happy to invest in Facebook, where they're kind of putting this on the table first. They're trying to be the ones to spearhead this, and whether they do or don't, I think they're going to have a nice chunk of market share on this in the future, and that's why I'm investing in it. I think I'm going to be very happy in 5 to 10 years once this really, they work out things. And, I think within 5 years, they'll probably release small things related to the metaverse, but I don't think it's going to be really integrated for another decade. And that's just my opinion. But when it does get there, man, I think you're going to be extremely happy you invested in a company that either has the biggest stake in it or at least one of the top 3, right? And so that's why I invest in this. That's why I chose to sell out of those 2 dogs of a company and get into Facebook. I see a really big potential here, and I don't think that it's going to be something that's going to affect the stock within the next couple years. It could actually create a lot of volatility, when people bring up the metaverse. But I think in the end, we're all going to be happy investors if you choose to invest in Facebook. I am a dividend growth investor overall, but at my age, still being young, I have to choose a mixture of growth and dividend companies, right? And growth overall. Companies that grow their dividend and companies that are just growth companies. And that's what I want my portfolio to be. That's why I sold out of Altria and IBM and put it into Facebook. So I'd like to hear what you guys think of Facebook changing its name to Meta, and what you think of the metaverse, your pros, your cons. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I'd love to debate on this, because this is my first shot at analyzing this and putting my thoughts on paper and then on a video. And I'm sure I've got a lot more to learn, but just initially, I think this is a good thing, and I am very excited to invest in Facebook right now. And so with all their negative woes and stuff with the media and politics, I think that'll eventually blow over like everything else does, right? We're a society where our focus and our attention span is very short. So with that said, guys, I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe to my videos. I put out at least once a week, but I want to try to amplify that, especially as my channel grows. So I appreciate your support. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.